And hello, welcome once again to another episode of Late Night Parents. I am Ted Hicks. Across from me is none other than tag team partner extraordinaire, Richie V.
Teddy Ted.
What's going on?
What's good, man? What's a good word?
Oh, man, it's going to be a long show.
It won't be that long.
No, because it's going to be like a super show.
Yep, there you go. And we'll just keep talking and talking and
talking.
No one else will get any other words in.
Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com, where you can go and you can find the latest blogs, podcast. I guess you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook and also all the above. That's kind of like your one-stop shop.
There you go.
What have you been up to this week?
It's a little bit of a busy week, with the 9 to 5, doing the regular thing there.
Back at the 9 to 5.
Back at the 9 to 5, or for some of us, the 8:30 to 4:30.
That's true.
A little busy there, and with the volunteer thing, it's been kind of busy.
Oh,
did
man.
a
How's
lot
that
of work
going?
this week. It's going very well.
That's good.
Very well.
That's good.
I've had to yell at a couple of people in their cars.
Really?
To stop them from almost hitting me.
Oh, okay.
But it's been good.
Okay. Well, we're going to do a very special show tonight because, as you know, we talk about the latest and greatest in education, technology, sports, product reviews. We talk a little parenting, and we talk culture. We talk social issues.
Yes, we do.
And I think tonight fits the social issue. We talk a little parenting. We got a full studio tonight. To my left is Ms. Ursula Moore, and also I said to my right, to my left. And to her left is her son, Devin Moore. Full disclosure, in the room is Will Moore, who's been a longtime friend, even though I haven't seen him in about 30 years.
Wow.
And he still looks exactly the way I remembered him.
So that means, Will, we're going to have to get you on the mic so you can tell me stories of young Ted. Because 30 years, I know you've got some.
Oh, my goodness.
And he sits in the corner smiling with a Cheshire Cat grin like, yeah, I do.
I think the last time I saw Will was probably 1986.
Wow.
I don't know. Could be. But, hey, serious topic. Want to introduce Ursula Moore. Ursula, how you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
Pretty good.
Doing well.
Devin Moore. Devin, how are you doing?
I'm all right.
Okay. Very good. Very strong story because I noticed in today, Rich, what we see a lot, Ursula, what we see a lot today is you see a lot with people, the police being called for people that are, I don't know, sleeping in college dorms.
Yes.
We see, I think we just saw something within the last 24 hours. The cops were called on a business owner.
Yes.
Who was in his business. I'm not even
I
sure.
didn't see this one.
Yes. It was something where I'm sitting there, and I had to read it twice. As I was going through it, I said, okay, he was called, the cops were called on him.
In his own business. But it gets even problematic because we're all parents here. Right.
Well, not you, Dev. That's good. It gets problematic here because we always talk with our children about bullying. We always talk with our children about sticking up for themselves and for being able to identify when they're being bullied, what the situation is, who to tell, who to speak to, all the above. But what I want to do is for us to decrease.
Yep.
And we're going to allow Ursula and Devin to increase and share their story with us. And there'll be some back and forth. Don't be nervous. If there's something you don't agree with, hey, I don't agree with you guys. You guys are off, and you guys don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, I know what I've read from a couple of the websites, the story, but I also know that stories that are posted on any news media are always slanted one way or the other. So it'd be good to get your story as it really, as it happened.
Correct. So without further ado, Ursula, we'd like you to share with you why you're here with us this evening.
Okay, my son Devin was on it's called Discord. It's you can play games and chat with the person that you're playing games with.
I'm familiar
And
with
he
it.
was doing this with 3 of his classmates. They decided to take my son's face without his permission and place it. One of the images had a gun to his head. Another one, he was on top of a gorilla suit. Another one, his face was being thrown into the trash. There was a noose. There was the KKK. It was all hateful. Each and every image depicted hate.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed it to me at home, and I said, there's no way. Let me contact the school and tell them what's going on. They would never allow this. They would see this, and they would say, the 3 boys, you're out of here. So I showed it to the school, and I met with the St. Mary School, the administrative team. I met with the diocese, and just like I'm sitting across with you guys here, that's exactly how the meeting was. And they downplayed it. Mm-hmm. And they said the 3 boys involved said it was funny. So since it was funny, you get to go back to class. Since it was funny, Devin, you're not, this shouldn't affect you so much. So the disciplinary action that they gave, one of the boys was a 1-day in-school suspension. Mm-hmm. And that they separated Devin, my son, and put the other boy in another class. But this is a small school.
Right.
So it's not a real separation.
Right.
It's almost like, okay, Ted, go stand in that room over there.
Okay.
Right.
I still see you, Ted, standing in that room over there. So there's not a real, I don't see you anymore, Ted.
They still will have interaction regardless.
Exactly. I'll see you in the hallway. I'll see you in the lunchroom. I'll see you when we're going in and out of the school. It was a joke.
Got it. Right.
And then the other 2 boys involved still were in the same class as my son.
Okay.
So there was no disciplinary action at all. And I kept saying to them, no, my husband and I feel like these boys should be expelled because this is so extreme and so hateful. Mm-hmm. And this is a Catholic church, Catholic school. We're paying good money to send our kids here. Mm-hmm. Devin has a younger son, so we have 2 kids. I mean, a younger brother, excuse me. So we have 2 kids in the school. And we show you this. Mm-hmm. We expect you to say, we don't tolerate this. You have to go. Mm-hmm. And they just stood firm with it. We are not expelling. No. These kids have an education. They have rights and all of this, nonsense. But they just weren't listening and hearing. This is effective. You're damaging my son.
Right.
Because you won't do the right thing. And then I called them out on them. I said, well, what message are you guys sending here? This is not the values, Catholic values that you want to, you don't want to say, well, okay, Devin, this is okay. It's almost like telling Devin, this is okay. Mm-hmm. That your face placed on top of a gorilla suit, that's okay. Your face placed with a gun to your head, that's okay. And they just stand for, first of all, they want you to be quiet because they don't want to destroy the reputation of the school because from the outside looking in, you say, oh, Catholic school, it's been around a long time. I want to send my kids there. This is a great place to send them. You have to, the school is predominantly a white school.
Sure.
Okay.
And, I have no issues with, sending my children to a predominantly white school. As long as the education is on point and you're doing the right thing by my children, we're okay. But you're not doing the right thing by my children. You're telling my children to accept the hate and to accept the bullying. And I tried everything under the sun to get them to see it, to see the light. I mean, I met with the priest. I met with the principal. He avoided me at all. He talked to me on the phone one time, and then I kept trying to set up a meeting. I want to sit with you face to face. It was always an excuse. Right. It was excuse after excuse after excuse. I believe they wanted us to go away. Like, just maybe if I keep a voice, just stop talking about it. If we stop talking about it, it doesn't exist. If we stop talking about it, it's not so bad. It's really not that bad. And then one of the administrative team, Devin had called me up one day because one of the kids sent him an email through the school Gmail. He sent a picture of one of the boys involved to Devin, saying that it was dealing with the school assignment. It had nothing to do with the school assignment. It was like intimidation. Once again, the bullying is continuing in the school. And then I came down and I said, this is not, no. You guys, Do you see what's going on here? You're telling these boys that you can do this, this, and this and still go to school here because they got the message loud and clear. We can do what we want to do and still go to school because there was no real consequences. You know, you do something bad, there should be a consequence, but no, not so much in this situation.
Ursula, I got to jump in here and say, what is the school's and I think during our pre-production where you and I were sitting and talking, we mentioned, I know New York City Board of Education, Department of Education, zero tolerance. What is, I mean, if you go to the website, there's a code of conduct that I believe all parents have to sign off on.
Right, exactly.
And the
we
children
signed the
have to
handbook
sign,
in it.
okay.
Yes, that is exactly right.
Okay.
At the beginning of a school year, you have to sign like a code of conduct. It's a handbook.
Yes.
You sign it as well as your children. We
Right.
signed it. This code of conduct says they don't tolerate hate. They don't tolerate, a bully, all of that. It's all in there, but it's just words. They're not actually implementing it. If that was the case, if they were actually saying, we don't tolerate hate here, then you would have expelled these boys. They're still students. They got to graduate. Devin had to walk down the aisle. It's crazy. He had to graduate with 2 of them. The other boy, I don't know if he was expelled. They never said. He just wasn't there.
Right.
So I have no idea. They didn't really, say, we finally decided that this is wrong, Mrs. Moore. We're going to, nothing. It's just like, okay, Devin, you get to graduate with these boys who did something horrible against you. It's just the message is wrong on so many levels. It's just you're saying one thing, but you're doing another.
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions. I was kind of curious just around the circumstances. So I'm familiar with Discord. I also do some gaming, so I use Discord too. Did any of this happen? Was this while you were at home, or was it on using school computers?
It was at home.
Oh yeah, you can talk. Sure, Devin.
Well, those images. Well, when they first sent the images, I was out with my family at a restaurant. But other times when they were just really bugging me was when we were playing this game called Overwatch.
Yep.
And they started saying, and this was when I was first starting to play the game. They started saying, "You're so horrible. You suck. You're horrible at this game." And then one of those boys who told me to get Overwatch was actually saying that the most.
Okay. So it was happening. It was your home computer and all. I'm kind of curious. I mean, yes, obviously, since the school does have a policy, a no tolerance policy, and you had to sign off and everything.
Exactly.
Did you have a chance to approach the parents with this? Because for me, I see it's let me go to the parents because the school's not directly involved here.
When this all happened, that's another thing. It's almost like they wanted to keep us, I don't know, separate. But
Right.
I was picking up Devin after school one day, and one of the boys' parents came up to me and she said she was sorry about what happened. This is horrible. Like, just apologizing for all of the horrible images and stuff. And then that was it. End of conversation. That was it. And the other families involved, they had kept saying they wanted to apologize, but I never, even on graduation day, I expected them to come up to me and say, "You know what? We're so sorry for all that happened."
Right.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's almost like, we can't even come near her, or my son. We're just going to stand there and look at you. And there were people at the graduation. One of his classmates' families came up to me and said, "We support you guys 100%.
Good.
We've written letters to the diocese. We won't stand for this. This is not
Good.
acceptable at the school. We support you. We feel that the kids should have been expelled, and we feel like the school did the wrong thing."
So I just want to jump in here and say this is Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. We're speaking with Devin and Ursula Moore. We're discussing bullying, a situation that happened here, Long Island, New York. What if the families had taken ownership, immediate ownership, and walked up to you or made themselves available to you to apologize, would that have ended everything, or was it to the point it was past that point?
Let me tell you, when this first happened, I went into this situation not looking to even, my mind wasn't thinking, I'm going to go get a lawyer, I'm getting a lawsuit. No. I went into this situation saying, okay, something horribly wrong was done. I have, my mind is open to, like, you know what, we did the wrong thing, this is horrible, this is disgusting, it's offensive. You know, I would have been willing to accept an apology, and I would have been willing to accept let's sit at the table and make sure that this never ever happens again.
Let them understand
let's
what
sit
they
at
did.
this table and let's make this, let's fix what,
Right.
because it's so wrong.
Right.
Let's do something about something that is so wrong.
Right.
None of it happened. But I never walked into this situation thinking, oh my gosh, I'm running to the lawyer's office. No way in the world. I'm running to the school. I would like to meet with these parents because this is disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
It's so vile and offensive. That's how I walked into the situation.
Right.
But as we sat at the table, at just no resolution, nothing. It was almost, we were forced to bring on a lawsuit because
Right.
they weren't willing to do the right thing.
Right. So before we even start talking about the lawsuit, so when I think of private school, I'm thinking of smaller settings.
Yes.
I'm thinking of Christian values.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of all of that being upheld.
Yes.
I'm thinking of Friday masses.
Yes.
And
They have chapel. They
have
have
chapel.
religion class. Yes.
Yeah.
All of it.
and
yes.
all of that comes into play.
Yes.
So what happened? Where was that?
That's a very good question because
Oh, Devin?
They don't want to do any of that. They just don't. They don't understand what they're doing. They don't want to hold up to their word. They don't.
They being the school, or they being the students who bullied you, or they being all of the above?
All of the above.
Okay.
So
even after
So Ursula, and I just want to jump in here. So with you and Will as parents, when the situation happened, did the situation happen and you noticed something different in Devin? Like, did you notice, like, okay, he's not himself. He's
yes.
Okay.
This has taken an absolute toll. Devin, who used to get a good night's sleep,
Mhm.
has nightmares. Devin, who used to trust, does not trust anymore. I mean, he can tell you he feels paranoid now, and he suffered his first seizure the day after graduation. He's not the same. He doesn't look at the world the same.
Well, with my nightmares, every single one of my nightmares had to deal with someone killing me, whether it be one of those 3 boys
Right.
or just anyone trying to come after me. And then even when I was in school after this happened, I was thinking that mainly one of them was going to get a gun and shoot me,
Wow. Okay.
or
Yeah.
team up with the other 2 and try to kill me, or get their other friends that were also on that Discord chat but didn't
Right.
do anything to help hurt me. And then with the seizure, I know that was stress.
Right.
That was really scary.
I'm sure it was. Fortunately, I can say, from my own experience, never having been bullied, thankfully, and never been a bully. Also have 3 boys. Mine are a little older than you. My youngest is a few years older than you. But going through the school system, you do look for the school to support you, and especially if you're going to a parochial school, which is espousing supposed values and supposed rules. You expect that if something comes up and something is found out, that they would do something
I
about
feel
it.
like
Sure.
their standards, everything should be up here, but it's really down here. It's down
Right.
low instead of up high.
Right.
We chose a private Catholic school for a reason. We didn't, we thought about it, and we felt like this would be the great fit for our boys, and we always felt that they would support us, no matter what. But it's been the opposite. It's mostly be quiet, that if you be quiet, it doesn't exist.
Right.
But that's not true. It's just because you close the door on, put the hate sign behind a black curtain doesn't mean there still isn't a hate sign behind the black curtain. It's still there.
That's true. This is pretty rough because, like I said, at the start of the show, we're all parents in here, and when our children are harmed in any way, physically or mentally, verbally, all the above, we feel the same hurt as our children would feel. So, as this progressed, as you didn't receive the type of feedback that you were expecting to receive from the school, tell us about moving forward with talking to an attorney and the next steps.
Once I realized, after going back and forth, every day I was back and forth to the school, back and forth. I was writing letters. I kept trying to get in contact, like I want to meet with the principal. I kept trying to deal with the administrative team, the diocese. If you could think of it, I tried everything to not, go there. I didn't want to go there because I said, you guys, we can fix this. We can, if we all just sit down at a table and we can, not turn this around. And you guys, I would love for them to implement within the curriculum too. No, zero tolerance for bullying, zero tolerance for hate, because let's take this and make it a teachable moment, and let's make it into a moment where it never happens to anyone else, but also you guys need to get how severe and how damaging this is, because my son is not the same, and then he has a younger brother. He's 12. This has also affected him as well. It's a domino effect. It affects us as parents, but it's trickling down the line, and it's like, you guys, this is a perfect opportunity to say, no, we don't stand for hate, and we don't stand for this, disgusting images. I even met with the priest, and he said, this is outrageous, like, this is unacceptable. But yet you still won't do anything about it. So it's almost like our hands was forced. And we had to say, you know what, we have to get a lawyer.
Right.
Because I think they will hear us now and make them see this is so incredibly wrong. And it's like, okay, we have to do this. It was a force. It wasn't like we went in there like we really wanted to do this, because it was so wrong. We had to do something. And that's why we're here now. It's unbelievable. I guess we just never imagined that the private school, a Catholic church, would be doing this. But then they've done things, I hate to bring this up, but they've done things dealing with priests and dealing with molesting children. They did the wrong thing in those situations. And once it's almost like a sweep it under the rug mentality. There's a pattern there. Sweep it under the rug. That doesn't make a problem go away. If anything, the problem gets bigger and bigger. And look how many lives get damaged in the process of you not dealing with the situation in the moment.
Absolutely. Sure.
No, you're right. You're right. So as this case proceeds, I want to ask you, as a family, with you, Will, and with your two children, what are you doing to heal?
Therapy is numero uno in our lives right now, because it's needed. It's helping, because this is really, it's taken over. It's consumed our lives. So we're doing therapy, and then also as a family, we talk about, good or bad, we have to talk about it. And this is bad. I know Devin, he's 14 and his brother's only 12, but we have to discuss hate. We have to discuss how people, just because of the color of your skin, will assume certain things.
Right.
Correct.
And the assumption could be quite nasty and quite, disgusting. Whether or not you're that person, it doesn't matter. They're just looking at the color of your skin.
Right.
And they're making the assumption that you're less than, or you're bad, or so that discussion, even at this age, it had to be, we had to sit down as a family and with our boys and reality check. This is the world we're living in. I'm not saying it's all
Sure.
bad.
No, not at all.
But the world we're living in is not all good either.
I mean, the reality is you need to have that conversation regardless of if this incident hadn't happened at all.
It's a necessary conversation. Absolutely.
Especially given, current political environment and,
I hate to say it's ugly.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
Ugly at ugly times, and it's hurtful too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
The world, we should all be on the same playing field, but we're not all in the same playing field. I wish we were. I would love to tell my children that it's all good and that every day is going to come up roses.
Right.
But that would be a lie.
I think with your specific situation, it's more going to come down to the children involved and their parents. You unfortunately have pretty much had your back put against the wall and like, all right, who has to take responsibility for this?
Exactly.
And even though it might not have been on school grounds, because that's where my thoughts were initially. It's like, well, this didn't happen. It didn't sound like I wasn't aware, full story. Mm-hmm. This didn't happen at the school. It wasn't school computers. It was the kids playing their own games. But again, yes, it is parochial school. They have the guidelines.
They do.
They should have said something. There should have been some action.
Nothing.
But I personally say parents of those children need to get involved and say something or be held accountable, at least for the actions of the children. And Devin, just want to say to you, the world is not against you. Don't worry about it. No one's coming to get you. I know I'm not sitting in your shoes, but you'll be okay. Your mother, your father are here. They're here watching out for you. This will pass. The world isn't, again, everyone's not out to get you. These are individuals who are young like you, and they have to learn. They've been taught or haven't been taught the proper way to deal with situations and what's right and wrong. Children, again, at your age, you're not a child, but I got to put it in perspective. You don't pick up these things on your own. They had to have seen this information or been fed this information. It was learned at some point, probably from their parents or some of their other friends, whatever the case may be. You obviously understand that what they're doing was wrong. If it had never happened to you, you would still know that it was wrong because you were raised properly. So just, don't let this experience, when it finally all settles down, don't let this experience turn you to doing to doing basically what they do. Because take the higher ground, do what you need to do, so that justice is served. But don't let this guide you the wrong way. You'll be okay, and no one's going to let anything happen to you.
Thank you.
All right.
So, question for you, Ursula. Your younger son, he still attends the school, or did you move him to another school? Or?
Yeah, he was supposed to attend 7th and 8th, finish his last 2 there, but no, that's not even on the table.
Right.
We're done with St. Mary. Well, now we're in the process of finding a new school. We're taking tours and we're trying to find the right fit for both of our boys, but it's a process.
Sure.
We just have to get it done by September, but it's a process. But we've been getting a lot of help from the Episcopal Church. My boys volunteered at a soup kitchen, and they, as I said, great kids, and you don't want to mess up great kids. And they've been phenomenal with helping us. I mean, just phenomenal. And they're helping us to find, a school for them that works well for all of us.
Good.
Now, I'm going to say something, and this is going to sound kind of funky, but I'm going to go there.
Okay.
This is the type of behavior you would expect in a public setting, meaning a public school, rather than a smaller, specialized type school.
I know what you're saying, but it doesn't surprise me a bit.
Okay.
Again,
Why do you
we're
say
Long
that?
Islanders.
It's a Catholic school. They're teaching Catholic values. Why doesn't it surprise you?
Having known students from Catholic schools when I was that age doesn't mean a thing. It's only going to make a difference for the student that is, again, where it's being reinforced at home to take it in and it's being practiced. you're doing the right thing by sending your child to a Catholic school, where they want to instill those values, and
Right.
you're obviously instilling those values yourself at home.
Right.
But besides that, it's color, skin color, money, Long Island. Doesn't surprise me a bit.
So what about the situation where if this was turned around the other way, okay? So let's play devil's advocate.
Sure.
Yes.
And never call Devin the devil, okay? But I'm saying devil's advocate.
Mm-hmm.
And what is said is, well, they were all just kids.
No, if the tables were turned and Devin had did this,
Was the aggressor.
oh, let me tell you how fast they would have called me down to that school and say,
Yes.
"Come get your son."
Yes.
And under 2 seconds, get him now, get him as well as get his brother. Lightning speed fast.
Right.
He would have been expelled.
Right.
There wouldn't have been any. Oh well, we're
So,
gonna do it one day.
Yeah.
No.
And that was
No.
the initial thing I was going to say to you. Would it have been expulsion, or would it have been, well, let's come down, let's talk this through, let's do this.
Come down here
Right.
and pack up your textbooks and let me figure out what paperwork you need to sign off because you're out of here. No, it would not be the same conversation. You are out of here. That's why I said it's not the same playing field. It's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's shameful that it's different. It's shameful and it's wrong, but it's different. He would have been kicked out, and his record would have been tarnished.
Right.
And mind you, my son is an excellent student. And like I said, he volunteers at Soup Kitchen. He was even volunteering in school. They had a Lego club where he was helping the little kids. Above and beyond student. Above and beyond. And he was an ambassador for the anti-bias program. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's the kind of son that we have. Amazing.
So I want to know this, and maybe Devin might be the one to answer this. How did it? What was your feelings when? So he graduated.
Correct.
So he walked with these other students.
Correct.
So now, in the school's mind, this situation is done. It's over. They're no longer students there. They've moved on.
Exactly. They moved on.
But what were your feelings, Devin, as you were walking, as you were getting ready to graduate, and you see some of these students that, that had bullied you?
Well, at first I was really nervous because I felt like those 2 students that were there were going to do something, but then I realized that there were a lot of people there, so they probably wouldn't do that. And then also with the teachers, I knew that they would just put on a phony face, make it seem like everything's all good, which is what they did do. But I was just really nervous. I didn't show it, though. I was definitely not trying to show it.
Okay.
Even when they announced my name for some certificates and whatever else I got, they were all they were all smiling. It was just hard.
You mentioned the teachers. I'm just curious, in this whole process, have any of the teachers approached you with comments, good or bad, positive or negative? Or are they kind of just like, hiding and not saying anything in general?
Really trying to hide it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess my next question is, your next steps are, I understand you're working through your case. Are you involved? What I'm trying to find out is, there's so many different anti-bullying campaigns out there. There's so many different initiatives for the area that you live in. What is your involvement, or what are your next steps as from a family perspective?
Well, from a family perspective, what I want to do is, through Devin, we had a conversation about speaking up against bullying.
It's good.
And I contacted, his name is Billy Moss from the NAACP, the Long Island chapter. I want to meet with him and sit down and come up with a plan to of course, we're not an isolated incident on the island, but it's just, if more people would speak up,
Right.
it's much easier to move a mountain when you have it's rather me trying to move that mountain alone. I have you, Ted. I mean, I have my, it's much easier to move that mountain. So it's like we need more people to speak up, because sadly, there's bullying that goes on at this school, but people are just too afraid to speak to speak up against it, because, well, you don't talk against the Catholic Church, and that's not what we do. So they can go through the most horrific situation, but they won't speak up about it. I have to share quickly. My doorbell rang. It was Saturday morning. And one of the mothers, her daughter had graduated from St. Mary's prior, and she had to tell us, like, thank you for sharing your story, because my daughter was bullied at the school.
Oh, wow.
Yes, this was years, but never.
That's what I mean.
Right.
That's what I mean by, with you guys stepping up, it's only going to start and kind of engage the other parents.
We're hoping and praying it does engage more and more parents, because there's also another side to it. We're willing to speak to you, Mrs. Moore, but we're only willing to speak to you,
right,
Mrs. Moore. So there's two sides to it. There's the one side where, yes, let's go there, let's shout it from the rooftops, Mrs. Moore, justice for Devin Moore, justice for Devin Moore. And then there's the other side. I'll talk to you, but then that's, And I'm telling you, these stories, when she came to the door, her daughter was on suicide watch.
Wow.
That's how intense the bullying that's how far had gone at the school. But once again, you sweep it.
You never heard about it,
rug.
right?
Exactly.
No one ever knew about it, and never would have.
She rang my doorbell. She was like, I have to talk to you guys. She was so, it devastates your life when your kid is hurting.
Sure.
Correct. Then you're hurting.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So it's just, she was really emotional, and it's so, because she, at the time when it was happening to her, you would think like, oh no, they got my back here. They're going to help me with this situation.
Nope.
No. And then she kept thanking us. Thank you so much for speaking up. Thank you so much for speaking up. Because it does take courage to speak up. It's not an easy thing to speak up.
Sure.
Because after you speak up, you're probably going to be ostracized.
Right.
Exactly.
And I'm sure you wanted to ask her, why didn't you speak up when it happened to you?
For your child.
Right. Yeah.
She tried, but a lot of things were involved, because also too, like, to get a lawyer, it costs money. And we're not wealthy people. We're regular, Long Islanders, but sometimes you make sacrifices, like, we really need help here. So we'll sacrifice this and try to pull it together to because you can't just ignore things like this.
Right.
You don't want your child to sit there and say, well, they did this to me, and we just kept it moving like nothing ever happened. That's sending a message to your child, like, this is okay. It's not okay.
Right.
It's never going to be okay. We did try to fix it without bringing a lawyer in, but they just weren't even hearing us.
It takes two parties to want to fix something.
Absolutely. It can't just be Mr. and Mrs. Moore at the table ready to fix something, and there's no one across from us.
Right.
Because there's no ownership on the other side.
Exactly.
They have to acknowledge that there's a problem.
Right. And
Thank you. You
back,
have to acknowledge there's a problem.
Yeah. If you continue to push back
and
not acknowledge it, okay, it'll go away. Don't worry. Just
That's
hang
exactly
on.
right.
And
That's exactly right.
And though I wasn't there, and we weren't there, but it sounds like a story that we've heard before all too often, because you hear this story across America,
right,
with bullying, with cyberbullying,
right.
So it's some scary stuff here. I'm just glad Devin was able to persevere. I'm glad he has a strong support system.
He does.
A mom and a dad that's going to keep pushing.
We are. Because
I'm going to tell you, I was in a chat room maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and the story had been brought up because it was talked about by a few people that were local in Queens that I knew that know Will. And then I took a look at it and I said, wait, what's going on here?
Oh, wow.
And one of our mutual friends brought it up. Sean Armour brought it up. He said, hey, you need to go to Facebook and take a look. And I was like, what? I said, what are you guys talking about? And then before I could even reach out, it was so strange. It's just so that you guys know the type of person he is. I think you already know what type of man he is.
Yeah.
Will had reached out to someone in the Maryland, D.C., Virginia area that had reached back to me.
Right.
And then it was just so strange because before I could even respond, I had received a message. Hey, Ted, can you reach out?
Right.
I've got something that's important. That's an issue.
Right.
Text right back. Okay.
Right.
Give me a couple of minutes. And then from there, once we heard the story, because we hate, and the word hate is a very, very strong word.
It is.
But to see our young children, he's a future leader.
Absolutely.
So we've got to make sure with our youth, we got to stand them up.
Absolutely.
They have to be acknowledged. They have to be exalted. And I really mean that because they're going to be the ones that are going to be running this country.
That's true. It's true.
We're going to be walking around here with canes, and hopefully they don't put us into. Hopefully you don't put your parents into nursing home or something crazy like that. Because Devin, it's important for you to know that just as Rich mentioned earlier, we're all pulling for you. We're all pulling for you in any way that we can.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and most importantly, these two people in the room are pulling for you because they're going to the media outlets and reaching out and speaking to everyone that will listen. And what I said in our earlier discussion is these news outlets can only dedicate a 2-minute, what they call it a hit, a 2-minute hit, or online or print media can give you so many words, 600 or 700 words. But your parents are here, they're your backbone, and they're not going to let you fail. So you got to take these type of situations, and no matter how evil and destructive and disastrous they are, you got to let them build you up, because it's going to build you up to be a stronger person, because someday you're going to be a father, and you're going to be that role model. So that's the stuff you got to focus on. And you take these type of situations, you look back on them, you say, it didn't break me. Because these folks here aren't going to let it break you. So you got to be strong, stay strong with this. And what we want to do is, this forum right here is a forum for you. Whether you want to call up, you want to check in, you want to let us know how you're doing, because we want to know how you're doing, not per se just how you are doing. How are you doing academically? How are you doing? Because we want to hear great things about you. So you got to just keep pressing forward. I'm not saying forget, but I'm going to say in your heart, I'm sure your parents have taught you, you're going to have to forgive. You forgive. You put it somewhere. I'm not going to say forget, because you're going to need to know these type of traits when you see them again.
And you'll see them again.
And when you see these characteristics, and you'll know, your spidey senses will go up, and you'll say, I've been in this situation before. Okay, let me step to the side here. Or if you see someone else in that type of situation, because that's the key thing, because there's going to be a lot of people out there as you grow up that are going to do a lot of different types of things. And you've got to be able to identify it. But as Rich said, everyone's not bad. Everyone's not bad, but you got some people out there that are questionable. Yeah. So we do definitely want you to stay strong. To Ursula and Will, whenever, whether it's a month, 2 months from now, want you guys to check in with us.
Yeah, please keep us in the loop.
Definitely keep us in the loop. Because we're hoping that there's some type of resolution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's the goal here. The goal is always like, okay, this is the situation that happened, and I'm not going to say the news shows or the news clippings did you guys a disservice, but I feel you've had the ability to share your story, and this story now lives within our realm where we'll be able, it's recorded, and you can share it amongst
Yes.
whomever,
Right.
because then you can get actually your word. You just don't get that, that 20-second clip
Right.
on the news.
More than
Right.
more than a soundbite now.
Yes,
You know.
you're right.
So and I hope this is also helpful to you, because like I said, you're looking for a resolution. You're looking for, and it's going to be harder because right now, with your kids not in the school and no longer connected to the school,
Right.
they're probably thinking, okay, we got away.
Right.
Right.
We're done
Right.
with this.
Right. We washed our hands and our hands are
Let me
not clean.
Yeah,
Yes.
let me close this
Right.
book right here, and
Right.
here's some things that we're going to implement. We're going to
Right.
put in the handbook for 2018, 2019,
Yep.
and you can't let them off the hook.
No.
And on top of that, the wheels of justice move very slowly.
We're learning that. Yes.
So this is not anything that it's going to be like next month. Okay, it's over and done with, because
No,
I mean,
it's
it's
not.
obvious the school's not going to just back down
No.
and concede this.
They're
That's
standing
obvious.
in their, they're wrong, and they're standing firm with it.
Yes.
This is
Just
going to
like
take
they
time.
did with,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
it's the same thing. They're standing firm with it.
Yep, time and money, and yeah, diocese has a lot of money.
You
They
are
have
right.
attorneys on staff
A
and on
team.
standby.
Yes.
You have a team. You're
Yes.
absolutely
On retainer.
right.
Yes.
On retainer, and it becomes, Ursula, don't get down, because there is going to get to a point where you're going to be sitting there. You and Will are going to be sitting there across the table from each other, and it's comparing your war chest against theirs.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, well, how long is this going to be able to stretch on? And you just got to keep pressing forward, because, like I said, you're not just doing it for your sons. It's for the next ones. For the next
Absolutely.
ones. For the next
Absolutely.
ones.
It's true.
You
And
know?
more people speak up.
And more people speak up. So a lot of times people don't like the forerunners,
Yep.
but it's because of the forerunners that after the fact, if the situation pops up like this 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, there's going to be a different approach.
Exactly.
So want to definitely thank you guys for sharing your story.
Thank you for having us.
Glad we had you here.
Yes, definitely glad we had you guys here. Definitely want to keep in touch.
Okay.
So, like I said, don't be ashamed,
Not
or
at
don't
all.
be afraid. Don't be meek.
No.
None of the above.
No.
I don't see any of those traits on you. I tell you that much. I tell you,
Will's in the back like, she's got it. Don't worry.
because I'm going to tell you, from the first time we had our first conversation, I was like, whoa, okay. I was like, so explain to me what this is and what that is. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. I was like, whoa, that wasn't the conversation I expected. So it's like, but that's good. That's good. But definitely want to have you guys come back
Okay.
and spend some time with us. Maybe, you never know, to just keep us informed, and we can keep this conversation going
Exactly.
and keep it building.
Yep.
And I mean, but that's on you guys, and that's
Right.
what you have to do.
Exactly. It's true.
So,
You're right.
Definitely want to say thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank
And Devin,
you.
take them off your friends list if you haven't already, and keep playing Overwatch. It's a fun game. You'll get better. No.
I
Or
will
not.
I will tell you this. At the beginning, before the show started, and I was telling you about the producer we had just had on. There's a movie called Searching that's going to be coming out next month. I believe in America it's going to come out the end of August. I think it would be very, very helpful as a family for you guys to see it, because
Okay.
it discusses cyberbullying. It discusses, it's a really strong story, and it showed, instead of the mom, the mother is like the cornerstone of every household,
Right.
and of every family. It's the dad who is handling these duties, because the mom has passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So I see a lot of qualities, a lot of similarities in that dad in the movie, and I see Ursula with how you've taken this upon yourself and,
Yes.
and upon your family,
Yes.
and is pressing through to that. So when that, definitely, I think you guys would enjoy that movie. Definitely see it as a family.
Okay.
But other than that, we're going to get ready to
Next segment.
Yeah, we're going to get ready to close out. So we're going to ask for Brian to, throw in some commercials.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
All right.
Take care.